Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Soulful Solutions. My name is Dr. Debbie Green. I'm so glad to have you with me today. I'm so glad. Our topic is really a Pacific topic today, but before I go into that, I want to ask you, how are you doing today? How are you really doing? How did you sleep last night? Is things okay in your life? Have you been feeling overwhelmed? Are you dealing with past situations? Is the world around you seems like it's crashing? Are you having a difficult time mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually? Yeah, I am concerned. I am concerned because sometimes we don't have all the answers, baby. We don't have all the answers. And it seems like the solutions never come. Sometimes we go through so much hardship, it seems that we can barely make it. And then a part of us saying, keep on going, keep on going. No part that seems to be so broken that says to stay. Well, one thing about life, it is a journey, okay? And it's almost like the type of journey that requires a spiritual map. A lot of times you're not going to see everything before it comes. But I want to encourage you today. I want to encourage you to let you know that it's only temporary. I know it seems like things keep happening over and over and over again. But trust and believe, everything got a time limit on it. It has a time limit on it. When you get to that point where you get sick and tired of being sick and tired of life beating you up, you're going to say something. You're going to say, I got to pull myself back. I've been taking care of mama, sister, brother, my children, the dog, the cat. I've been doing all of this for them, but what am I going to do for me? When will it be a time for me? Well, our topic today is really kind of tuning in on some of those areas, but it's also dealing with how we process the world. I'm talking about the ladies' events. We just came through this pandemic a few years ago, and people are still going through it. They're still being sick. They're still being affected by it. And that's just one thing. But then we have our own personal lives, where we have broken relationships that's not been healed for years that we're still dealing with. This one don't like this one. This family member don't talk to that one. This is reality, is it not? People on the job seem to be, giving you micromanaging, trying to push you even harder than what you can even accomplish. So, what's really going on? Well, again, sometimes we have to pull ourselves back. I got this thing. And for those who don't know me, I'm just going to be really quick with my background. I have a mental health background of over 15 years. I've seen the worst and I've seen the best, baby. I've seen people come in at their lowest states and leave at their highest. Because once they realized what was really going on in their life, that's when the depression lifted. So depression is one of those things that tends to come in with a lot of human interactions, experiences, and, crucial stuff in life, crucial stuff. But the only way we're going to get through this is to love ourselves. Love ourselves enough where things will change in us, not in everyone else, in you. And you say, well, what about somebody may not like what I've done? They may not like what I said. Well, they ain't going to like it regardless. You can't please them anyway. You might have been trying to please them all your life. All your life, even since you've been a child. We were brought up being codependent anyway. Do this, get up, eat, make a grades, make your bed. We We never really had time for ourselves. And even as we got older, we still didn't make time. Too busy trying to find love, being accepted, feeling obligations, feeling responsibilities. Hmm. When does the ball stop bouncing? Well, one thing about life, again, in the turbulent times, it teaches us. And sometimes we got to go through that thing more than one time before we get it. And it don't feel good, but we just keep going through the same things over and over and over again. Not realizing, well, wait a minute, didn't I just go through this 6 months ago? Well, one thing about it, you got to stay focused in turbulent times. And when you remain focused, what you're going to realize is that your strength supersedes your ability to conquer. That's the way it works. So that's our topic for today. And again, my name is Dr. Debbie Green. It's such a pleasure having you here. If you see me on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel so we can get more viewerships and we can reach the world to help more people. Because guess what? Somebody needs a word of encouragement, a word of just saying, it's okay. I'm going to make it. Even when I feel myself falling apart, I'm still going to make it. This is one of those things that no matter what happens, you see this right here? That's your breath. And sometimes we don't even want to breathe no more. Sometimes we want to leave everything behind. But the breath said, it ain't time yet. The breath lets know you got another chance. Stop focusing on the problem that is the issue. When you focus always on the problem, you can't see a solution because you're focused on the problem. Take the time and back up from it and ask yourself, what should I do about this? How am I going to get through this? What's the first thing I need to do? Prioritize, break things down, get a pen and paper. You know what I'm saying? Write something down and say, okay, I did this and this didn't work. What's next? How am I going to conquer this thing? And the thing about it is you ain't conquering on the outside. You're conquering on the inside. Because everything that flows through you is a stimulus. Everything, the wind, the sun, the cold air, as some people are feeling now. People, places, and things. What they say, how they say it, what they do, what they don't do. It just flows through this being. And it leaves what they call rifts. You ever seen like an ocean that, just goes back and forth, and sometimes the waves get so strong, they knock you down. Okay. Same application of life. The waves in your life have been knocking you down. But think about it. Have you been standing there doing absolutely nothing? Have you been standing there just taking it? Have you just been standing there just weeping and crying or getting angry, getting mad, feeling guilty, feeling sad? Okay. Well, if you haven't been doing anything, there's a good chance that you're going to get caught up in the riptide. Oh, that's why you're feeling like you're spiraling, because you're not moving out the way. Mentally, emotionally, and emotionally. Shift. If you see yourself in pain, shift out of it. When you say, Dr. Deb, I'm not sure how to do that. Don't you know the brain can only concentrate on one thing at a time? One thing at a time. That's it. It can't concentrate on anything else. And you say, wait a minute, I'm multitaskful. I see, I do. It looks like I'm doing a million things at once. No, you're not. It just seems that way. The brain concentrates on things. It's like if you're sitting near a window and you see cars going by. You can't concentrate and focus on every car. You're just going to catch one of those cars and you're going to follow it with your eyes. The brain does the same thing. Now, the thing about this is we then follow one and then we hold on to that, two, then we hold on to that, three, then we hold. That's our problem. We don't know how to let things go. We don't know how to move past the diversity. What has to happen for you to realize that you are emotionally addicted to a situation? What has to happen? What has to happen for you to let it go of this excess pain that you've been holding on to, from pains of the past, pains of childhood, pains of a broken relationship, pain, pain, pain. You pick it up every day until you get used to it, grabbing it every single day. And here comes some new pain. You're going to grab that. And now you're still grabbing the old pain, then you're going to grab the new pain. And before you realize it, all of this is affecting your being, mind, body, and soul. Okay, what do you think the body is going to do? It's going to take pressure here in your heart, interrupt sleep, you're tossing and turning, insomnia, interrupting eating too much or not eating enough. What can it do? Tightness around the shoulders, backaches, nausea in the stomach, feeling heavy right here. Oh yeah. Stress from where? Excessive pain. Pain that you don't need no more, baby. You don't need it anymore. Learn how to let things go. Feel, release, and let it go. Let it go. What's holding you on there? Why are you attached to it is the question. Unforgiveness, guilt, despair, grief. You know, this thing called life comes with many, many challenges. But guess what? It's a game and you got to know how to play it. The way you play the game called life, whatever comes, here comes the win, feel the win, but you can't be the win. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? You can't be your problems. You can't be somebody else's burden, much less than your own. It's extremely important that you realize this. Otherwise, sickness will come. Mental illness will come. It will happen. So, be ye encouraged today. Be encouraged. Be encouraged that if you take the time to practice what I just gave you, you will see a big thing. So we're going to be going through several interventions today. And I want to be able to help you to learn how to let things go and to do some self-management. Because self-management is extremely important. Why is it so important? Because if you can't manage yourself, ain't nobody else going to manage you, okay? No doctor, no psychiatrist, no therapist, no mother, sister, brother, friend, or foe. No one can control this being but you. So if you've been out of control, and I'm going to tell you, out of control meaning that you can't focus. You may put the poker face on, and let everybody say, oh, yeah, I'm all right. Yes, I'm okay. Yeah, it's all right. But then deep down inside, you crumble. You decay. That's a problem, my sister and my brother. That's a big problem. Don't pretend like you don't know. You know, the more you stay in denial, is the greater this thing gets and starts to give you physical, mental, emotional, and physical sickness. Where do you think high blood pressure comes from? Diabetes, cancer, and all these other chronic illnesses. Because the body can't take no more because the heart is overflowed with issues over years of hurt and pain and despair, you know? And as we still dealing with childhood stuff, childhood things in our adult life. That inner child is something. When it is in pain, we think that it's just going to go away. Oh, that happened in the past. Oh, I don't have to worry about that. But then something inside of us still weeps. It still moans. It still feels like it's broken because it is. See, the adult part of you needs to realize and stop ignoring it. Realize that I had an inner child, and my inner child suffered from whatever situation, abuse, hurt, pain, feeling unloved, feeling unworthy, feeling abused, went through abuse, went through crisis. Okay, now we're grown up and we're still feeling the pain. We still have broken relationship because of our inner child issues. So what's going on with that? How can we change it? How can we make ourselves just better? A lot of people say, I ain't never been happy. I had some patients of mine, I don't even know what happiness feels like. I've never been happy. I've never been loved. I've never even felt love. I don't even know what love feels like. Well, baby, you got to love yourself first. For you looking for someone else to love you, give you what you need. That's what you need. And it's not just loving your outside or doing your hair or buying you a new pair of red shoes. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your inner man. Your inner man needs love too. It needs love too. So you take the time and you say to yourself, am I doing everything I can for me? Am I doing everything I can to help myself be emotionally stable? Am I doing everything I can to keep myself focused on just my life? And if I'm crumbling, if I find myself feeling like I'm falling apart, am I giving myself the help that I need? There's nothing wrong with therapy. You know, mental illness get a bad rap. We get a bad rap for being clinicians. But there's a doctor for every part of your body. Why cannot be a doctor for your mind? It's for every part of you. To avoid self-destruction, oh, this is critical and it's needed. So again, my name is Dr. Debbie Green. Our topic today is staying focused in turbulent times and avoidance of self-destruction. Because it's very easy to self-destruct people. And self-destruction is not just suicide. Please understand. It's way before the suicide begins. It's when you start crashing emotionally. You start crashing spiritually. Then that's when you make decisions of wanting to end your life because you can't see life anymore. It's a facade. It's a veil over your eyes. All you can see is pain. That's all you can see. All you can see is pain. So move that veil off your eyes just for a moment. And so you can see the bigger picture of life. Well, I have a wonderful guest that's joining me. She's backstage. Bayada, your holistic coach. She's joining me today, and I'm so excited because I love her so. Yeah.
Grand, Grand Rising, Grand Rising. How are you,
Grand
my sister?
Rising. Good morning.
We are
Good morning.
we're trying to find you on Facebook, but you're not there. Are you? Did you put the go push the go live button at the
I
top?
am. I am on Facebook, according to what I see.
Okay,
Soulful
okay.
Solutions. You don't. Yeah.
Uh, Naima was looking for you. Welcome, and in fact, greetings, everybody. I'm filling
Yeah.
in for our sister Naima Latif, who's on the train
Yeah.
way
There.
to on her way to Florida. So
Oh, that's what she's on. Okay.
let
I
me
don't
just
know. I
pull up,
mean,
see if
I
I can
see.
see you. Okay, no, you're not
Okay.
there. I have a old I pulled you up this morning, but it was an old video and I thought, oh, there she is, but it didn't let me
Well,
try
according
again.
to this,
See what happens.
I am checked on my on here, and I
I
see.
see you now. I got you.
Oh, okay.
I,
Yeah, I'm
okay.
gonna say because I
We
see the
found
live
you.
right here. You found me. Well, I'm glad I'm
All
found.
right. Hey, that's what this show is all about, finding ourselves, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's exactly what it is. Finding ourselves. And I think
So
that is such a uh-huh.
let me take our break. Let try to be on
Absolutely.
time with break.
Yes.
So I'm trying to figure everything out. We're gonna take our first break. It's 8:30 in on the East Coast, and
Right.
Dr. Debbie and I are in the same time zone. Woohoo! Hallelujah! So we don't talk Central or Eastern or Western or Mountain or any of that. But let me just find our inch our commercials, and we will be right back after these messages.
Okay.
What if you could live to be 120 years old and remain active, healthy, alert, and vibrant? Our bodies are made up of cells that are constantly rejuvenating. So if we take proper care of ourselves, we can literally defy aging. Join us every Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time to learn about self-care from Tucson Essentials on the Female Solutions Blog Talk Radio Show. Learn how to help your body and your cells feel rejuvenated each day through proper nutrition, sleep, frequency medicine, and many unconventional methods of self-care. I'm Jody Susan. Join me and my amazing guests by calling in at 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak. We'll help you achieve a breakthrough in your health today. Hi, I'm Naima Latif. Join me and my co-host Kareem Hamid every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Female Solution Radio Show, as we explore that relationship that is the foundation for our society, the relationship between men and women, husbands and wives. Join our discussion as we seek to repair broken family ties and rebuild our community. Listen online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to our host. Or you can join us live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/the-female-solution. Is Monday morning a struggle to get out of bed into the swing of things? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on higher learning with Delta Speaks for your Monday morning mindfulness session on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Mondays, 7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure and send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit zeldaspeaks.com mindfulness.com and send us your info. We'd love to have you. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness/stress relief coach, Zelda Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moment tip of the day. Stay on purpose, stay empowered, and stay tuned to your next session of mindfulness on Higher Learning with Zelda Speaks. Make it a mindful day. And thanks for listening.
Our kids are the future and should not be left behind. One person should not decide what is the best for our 77 communities. Politicians must work together for our kids' best interests. They deserve a safe education with resources that meet every student need. Let's rebuild and restore Chicago. Vote for me for mayor of Chicago. I'm Dr. Willie Wilson, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for mayor.
And we're back. Thank you for joining us. I'm here. I'm Beata, your Friday morning host. I'm here with our sister, Dr. Debbie Green, who's giving us some real jewels this morning on how to fix our lives, how to be more present. You know, Dr. Debbie, my question is, where did this year go? We're at the end of the year, and it just seems like whoosh, it went by so quick. You know, tomorrow I'm going to be covering the most important health topics for 2022. And as I look back, I thought, wow, I kept thinking, wow, I did that in January and it felt like it was yesterday. And how are you feeling about the end of the year and how fast it's gone? And I know we want to get into your topic, but how does that play into your topic? Did the year affect your clients at all and how fast things were moving?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, we've been on this whirlwind since 2020, and if you notice, since 2020, the years have increased in time. I don't know because I'm a really spiritual being, and I see that very clearly. And it's totally increased in time. So that being said, most people are overwhelmed because they don't have enough time in them. They feel to prioritize in certain things. So they get stressed because their goals are, more tightened in time, to meeting the goals of their life, whether it's career, dealing with children's expenses such as college or whatever the case may be. That's where the struggle comes in. So again, this year is definitely tallied up. Is whatever you didn't get done this year, well, hey, you look at it this way, it's always next year because it just constantly flows like really quickly. Yeah, it flows very quickly.
I'm excited.
And that's a stressor in itself.
But I was listening to you the first half hour I was listening, but I have I'm with my grandchildren on and off, and I was thinking all of these things that you're covering need to be in our elementary school level teachings. And of course Naima's doing school. And these things got to be taught at elementary level.
Right.
Because I'm sure by the time you get adults in your office, they are really having a hard time getting to that next level of health and vibe. And you said something that really I thought about. Some of your clients don't even know what happiness feels like. That is just really kind of strange to me that all their life they haven't experienced what I would say joy or happiness. How can that be?
I know it sounds odd, doesn't it? Well, the thing about this is more depending on situations and circumstances. Some people really go through depression at a very early age, Beata. So they could start depression as early as 7 years old, believe it or not. Okay, so you can say, well, how can a 7-year-old be depressed? It can. It depends on the situation. It depends on the environment that person actually has been exposed to. So being that is the case, that feeling, that emotion, it just keeps cycling. It keeps cycling in everyday life. And even as they grow up to be adolescents, it continues to cycle if it's not corrected. And the goal is that I tell the families, because I deal with adolescents as well. I said, I mean, can you imagine, adolescents at the age of 12 that doesn't want to live anymore, that no longer wants to breathe because they're in so much pain and so much turmoil. So these things are very, very real. They're very current. And again, we really don't understand, and I say we as a society, as a nation, really doesn't, have a clue what mental illness is. It's so many things. It's not just one thing. It's so many factors that play into this. So that's the reason why I'm really focusing on topics of self turbulence. I believe that mental illness is where one becomes what they call consumed by an issue, and they don't know how to get detached from it. And again, it's from influencers such as parents. Parents may go through their depression, and then you have a child that's more emotional than most. And before you realize it, you have these ongoing patterns in the family of mental illness, ongoing patterns. How can it be solved? How can it be, cured? Well, the thing about it is mental illness, I wouldn't say it needs to be cured. I think it needs to be corrected. And I don't minimize it because I'm sure someone at the, that sound of my voice can say, well, you don't know, you've never been depressed. Oh, yes, I have. Everyone has been depressed in some type of way. The question is the length of time that the depression stays. That's what gives a diagnosis. We've all grieved, lost of loved ones, or did something or someone disappoint us through any, different circumstances and situations. But at the same token, the question is, how many times has this happened, and what did you do, and how did you respond? That's the goal. That's the goal. The goal is to take away the unwanted states of mind, and put yourself in another type of mindset. Will you think positive all the time? No, you won't. We we as optimists, because I'm an optimist, okay? No, I don't wake up happy every day. I wake up content, not happy. Happiness is linked to, babies being born, weddings, birthday parties, raises on the job, But it's different when you rest in contentment. You'll be content in the good, you'll be content in the bad, you'll be content in the indifferent. Because most of the time, those stimulus, which is stimuli coming from the outside in, you have to feel those things. You feel them. And then, like I said earlier, what we do, we feel them, but we don't release them. We take them as fact in our mind, truth. We take them as something that, oh, this person said this to me and this is who I am. Someone can say you're the worstest person in the world. I didn't give you the love that you felt you needed as a child. So what then happens? The mind then takes on a different mindset. And there we go. We're in this turmoil over and over. Our goal is to keep ourselves in a certain posture in life, because trouble will let you know when it's ready. You ain't got to go looking for it. Trust and believe, like you were saying, in our children, our children are very sensitive emotionally. So when they're sensitive like that, remember the frontal lobe is not developed until you're 24 or 25. So there's no logic, there's no reason, there's no rationale. And you want to know, well, why are they doing this? It's because they're dealing with impulses. They say, well, they keep doing it over and over again because they're building habits. So we got to be careful what we allow our children to do and help them to understand this is the reason why you can't do it, little Johnny, because this is going to happen. And you tell them early in life, as early as 3 years old. I believe that, children understand English. They can't always talk when they're really young, but they understand yes and no. If they understand yes and no, they can understand everything else. Okay. So we teach our children, don't cuddle so much, don't pamper so much, you know, because those areas tend to give off the wrong vibe sometimes. So, like, somebody, if we reprimand a child, we go right back and we hug it. Oh, it's okay. Okay. But you have to tell them, I'm not hugging you because you did the wrong thing. I'm hugging you because I love you. So you have to let them know and correct them. So the goal is to gain as much access of life as possible without losing control. That's our goal. That's our goal without losing control.
And don't you think we are in turbulent times almost daily because of social media, because of the news? I was thinking about this rapper, this female rapper was in court recently because somebody shot her in the foot or they didn't shoot her in the
Oh,
foot.
yes.
And
Yes.
then I listened to the guy who went to was accused of shooting her, and I'm like, wow, this is so confusing. And you know why? I think it's all because people are too focused on money. The money just seems to be a driving element these days, especially in these industries like music and Hollywood. People are on social media doing selfies all day long, talking about themselves all day long. I got something to tell you all day long. I mean, I just scan through my Facebook page and all the stuff that comes up, that's what causes people to be self-destructive because they get too confused about what is a priority. And I
Right.
think about Dr. Debbie, my grandchildren went through a divorce very early in their lives. They are now 6 and 8. And I know you probably deal with divorce all the time because that's
Hmm.
just what's happening. And I realized if we hadn't given them the attention and love that we had to give them, because at the age of, I think my youngest was 3 and maybe his sister was 5, because she's 8 now and it's been about 3 or 4 years. They were going back and forth between mommy and daddy's house at 3 and 5 years old. And mommy set up an agreement and a contract. Okay, you're going to spend this every 3 days with mommy, 3 days with daddy, and then every other. And they were like, I could just see it in their face. Oh, confusion. Like, what? We
Yes.
going back and forth now to mommy. And my grandson, who was about 3, he said, oh, I see it now. We got to go back and forth between. And then the anger showed up, Dr. Debbie,
Yeah.
because
Frustration.
you don't
Hmm.
really know why. And at first you're like, why are you angry? And I know why they're angry. Their life got disrupted at a very early age, and now they're confused. And then each parent is trying to outdo the other, or the kids right before mommy gives it. And it's like self-destruction. If the parents, the grandparents, I had to play a big role in this to help them see how much they're loved and how much wisdom that they can grow out of this situation. So I
Hmm.
say these turbulent times have a lot to do with the media promoting it, social media included, television. And then if their parents or grandparents are not there to help them balance that, they're going to end up in your office because nobody knows what to do.
Right, right, right. Absolutely. Because 50 years, let me say, I would say at least 40 years ago, we didn't have social media. So a lot of things that was happening, we didn't know anything about, which was really and
Right.
truly, it was a good thing.
Yeah.
It was better not to know than to know, because now that you know that right around the corner somebody killed them, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It just intensifies more fear,
Yeah.
in us. And you're absolutely correct. So our children are exposed to social media, and also, the turbulence in the world. That you can go on social media and go all the way across the country and see, children or whatever or whoever is being hurt over there. I mean, pain is so what they call so prevalent but present in our lives, to the point where we are numb to it. And then, we don't even know how to deal with our own issues. Our own issues, just kind of pushed to the curb, because we're focusing on, what's happening to Sheila, what's happening to John, and yeah, it is a crucial, like a, oh my God, a crucial thing, because it's self-destruction is real, and it doesn't just happen with suicide. People think when you saw self-destructing, it's like when you don't want to live anymore. No, it starts way before that time. And the thing, we get, like I said, we get so confused because things keep happening over and over and over again. So, and it's only because of the fear that is implanted inside of us. The universe only gives you what you put out. That's the only thing. It can't do anything else because you are pushing it outward. So it is a vital component of life to solve one's issues, to solve your issues deep down inside. Don't make pretend like they're not there, because they're gonna grow, because it's like a seed. And what I found out in my practice, Vayana, is that the families, again, like I said, they go through so much turbulence, and they've been going through it so long. To as the loved ones get older and things start to happen, whoever the pillar is of the family, the strongest person that's been holding everybody up, or been taking care of everyone mentally, or just taking on being codependent, that's the person that's really greatly affected. I mean, and everyone else, this, like, they're literally holding them up, like, on top of themselves. Like, most people in the world today, if you ask them, okay, who's the priority in your family? If they believe in God, they'll say God, okay? And then they'll say my children, my husband, my mother, my all of these people on top of them, and then they got themselves on the bottom. What's wrong with that picture? Something's wrong with that picture. You say, well, death to death, you're not saying that we can love. No, love doesn't have to hurt. It doesn't have to be in pain. You're putting them in the wrong hierarchy. You have to be strong to put yourself first. Then think about a structure. What does a pillar do to a building? It holds a building up, but first it's holding the building. Then it provides the foundation, not putting people above you. And we were taught that as children. Believe it or not, some people didn't even have, children lives, which means that they were given responsibility at the early ages of 10 and 12 to watch little brother and little sister. You know what I'm saying? And they never had a time to just be. Okay, they always had responsibility. What does that do to the human character? A lot. Because then it teaches you how to be codependent. It teaches you not to take the time for yourself.
Right. And my granddaughter said something about how she watched something on TikTok, and I thought, oh, that's a red flag for me, because TikTok is just, to me, another distraction. I learned that TikTok is a Chinese Communist Party spyware. There's this guy
Ooh.
on YouTube who has millions of followers, and he did an experiment on TikTok because he was looking at how many views he would have and how many listeners if he brought up a certain subject. He brought up a subject that was anti-communist Chinese party, and immediately he said his numbers dropped. It got censored. So as long as, TikTok, to me, again, another distraction. And as long as you're doing the little fluffy things, love to do this and selfies, and I look how good I look and look how wonderful I am, and displaying your non-wisdom on a lot of it, then you're okay. But China is gathering all your data on TikTok. And you think they're not going to use it for your detriment? Of course they are. So my granddaughter is at this stage where she wants to experiment everything. But I'm of the opinion my grandchildren need to feel a little pain now and then when they don't understand when they don't understand the consequences of their action. Now, pain to me
Yes.
is a pinch on the arm, which my grandson absolutely hates. All I have to do is say, "I'm grandma's going to pinch you," and he'll straighten up because he hates pain. He doesn't like to get his hair combed.
I
His
don't
pain.
blame
So
her.
here's the thing, Dr. Debbie. The evidence to me that children or young youth don't know how to deal with pain is the epidemic of painkillers and all these what is it, fentanyl and all these overdoses. So talk about avoiding self-destruction. In my mind, they're not able to deal with the pain in their life, so they're self-destructing with drugs. So
Yeah.
how do we educate these youth on how to recognize, number one, when your body's inflamed, which is pain, and then what are your choices or options to deal with the pain? Because many of them are just going to pills and then overdosing. It's really
Yeah.
sad.
It is. It is. Now, one thing about a substance abuse, Vieta, anytime there's a person that is adapting to an addiction, and I use the word adapting because first, with our younger generation, it starts off as a pleasure or being like everyone else. Okay, so what
Right.
they're doing is like before they realize that they're touching, marijuana, meth, crack, or whatever the case may be. Oh, let's try that. Oh, let's try. Everybody's doing it. You know what I'm saying? So, oh, I'm not going to be like that person over there that's strung out on it. I'm just going to try it for this one time. Okay, then that one time, you know, then starts a second time because you're still around these same individuals that's still doing these same things. So now you're building up a habit and you already had issues prior to even doing drugs. You know what I'm saying? You had issues possibly with your family, with yourself. So now it becomes a coping mechanism. And this is where it goes from grade school to high school to college and even beyond. You see what I'm saying? Because it's built
Yeah.
that it's built that way. And unfortunately, you even have some influencers. Influencers are parents or people who raise children. Let's say, hey, my son, take a drink. Not realizing that you are egging them on to build an addiction. And I'm not knocking alcohol, okay? I mean, some people, socially drink, and that's fine. But everyone does not have the ability to not have an addictive personality. And you don't know if you don't have addictive personality until you start the drug. You see what I'm saying? You build a habit. That habit then builds all the other things because addiction is one of those things that actually it cohorts with also a mental illness if you're not careful. Okay, so you have addictions from anxiety, you have addiction, dealing with alcohol, alcohol is a depressant. So guess what you're doing if you were depressed before, you're going to really be depressed. You see what I'm saying? And then it requires you to keep drinking. Don't you know alcohol is the worst of all substances other than meth or crack or heroin or all these other stuff? Popping pills, they call them Xanax, Zanies. You get, I mean, the list goes on how a person would use something to stimulate themselves. But alcohol is the worst because alcohol literally is, again, it is purchased. It's purchased freely in society, but and then it causes one's body to break down very quickly, which is called DTS. So again, you a person that's addicted is compensating. They're compensating for something that they don't have, and they have to keep that addiction going. It's just like addictions to unhappiness. It's the same process. Same
Yes.
process.
And I see Hollywood played a major role in getting us all addicted to smoking and alcohol. Because when you look back at those old movies that we watched, once we got that colored TV, we were stuck glued to the TV, and it was like, wow, look at, and everybody was smoking and drinking on in the movies. It was, it's funny, Dr. Debbie, and then we're gonna go to commercial shortly. they weren't in the bed all the time back in the old movies, right? We they
Right.
left that to our imagination, right? But they were sure smoking and drinking all the time in these old movies. I remember the Betty Davis movie. One of my favorites was All About Eve, where she went up the stairs and she said, "Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride." And she had a cigarette in her hand, a drop martini in the other hand, and that was one of the best scenes ever in movie history. And all of the movies, black and white movies, smoke. They never. There was chain smoking all the time.
Yeah.
When I go back and look at them, so
Hmm.
we learned how to smoke, get a smoking addiction, and drink from Hollywood. If you were a Hollywood fanatic or watching movies, and now they're in the bed all the time. We sex scenes are just a normal thing in movies these days, and violence. I went to the mall with a friend last weekend too, and we didn't know what to see. He didn't want to see Avatar. I wanted to see Avatar, even though it's a 3 hour movie. I wanted to see it because the color and the graphics are amazing. They told me he didn't want to see that. So we're
Mm.
walking around trying to decide what do we want to see. So this movie, The Menu, caught my attention. It's called The Menu. And so that looks interesting because the woman who stars in it played in the Queen's Gambit, which was a chess
Yes, I
doc.
remember that. I've seen that.
I thought, oh, she's probably really good in that. So let's go see that. Girl, halfway through that movie, we walked out of there. There was so much violence. This guy,
Oh.
one scene, because the people who became the guests at this fancy island restaurant were on the menu. So part of the lesson in the whole movie was you people have done all this dirty deeds, sinning and all that. And the chef was showing them the consequences. So the first scene was a guy put a gun in his mouth and shot his head off. They actually showed this scene now. They didn't
Oh
hide
my
it.
goodness.
And he flew back and I was like, I was in shock. My friend, we looked at each other and like, oh my goodness, should we leave the movie? And then the next scene before we left was some guy was protesting. And they said, well, we're going to just cut your fingers off. And we looked at each other and like, no, they're not. And they showed his hand going on. They took one of the chefs came out and chopped off his fingers.
Oh
Blood.
my goodness. No, I don't want to see that.
We
No.
said, we got to go. Time to go. So I was in shock
Yes.
the rest of the night. It's like, I can't believe
Violence.
but the
Violence.
lessons are great. If I may go through that one Sunday or something. The lessons from this movie were very powerful. But why do you have to entertain us with all the violence? Is what my question was.
Mm.
Nothing left to the imagination. So, I think you mentioned, we've become numb to violence.
Yes.
We have
Yes.
become totally numb. So it's nothing to shoot somebody in the head in the streets of Chicago or wherever.
Right.
And
Right.
now we're dealing with these turbulent times because of the programming and training from Hollywood, from ignorant people, unconscious people.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
crazy out there. So we are there, and Dr. Debbie and I are trying to bring some sense to all this. So it's time for a commercial. I'm excited to be here, and I'm watching the studio. If anyone has a question or a comment, press 1, and we're going to take a quick commercial break. And we'll be right back with your questions or comments if you have any.
Crime in Chicago contains the entry. Community and politicians must come together to make a change. No one person can solve these problems by themselves, but I believe together we can make progress. Let's provide job training, economic growth, and invest into our 77 communities. Let's rebuild and restore Chicago. Vote for me for mayor of Chicago. I'm Dr. Willie Wilson, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for mayor.
Have you ever dreamed of going to exotic places, meeting fascinating people, enjoying uplifting music, and spending nights in a luxurious hotel? Do you look forward to a relaxing vacation where you can walk along the beach or sit in a quiet park and enjoy the sunset or sunrise? Whether you're flying around the world or driving across the country, we will share travel tips that will help you stay safe while you enjoy the journey. Join me every third Saturday of the month, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and move around with Deborah here on the Female Solutions Show. Call in and comment 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak. Hey, it's time to take charge of your health. I'm Beata, your holistic life coach, and every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I'm here on the Female Solution to empower you to make choices that will assist your evolution to abundant health. I'm also blogging every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at Soul Purpose Healing, where I bring you a spiritual chiropractic adjustment to bring you back into alignment with our Creator's love, compassion, and wisdom. Join me every Friday morning at 8 a.m. and Sunday evening at 8 p.m. for a time of unity, enlightenment, and love vibration. Shalom. Do you want to live in a world without war? Join our global peace movement. Heavenly Culture World Peace Restoration of Light transcends culture, religion, ideology, and other boundaries to achieve peaceful harmony in the global society. HWPL is committed to bringing world peace and cessation of war through peaceful dialogue between religious groups. I am Director Shin-Suk Kim of the HWPL Chicago branch of North America. Join us for our next gathering. Call 773-580-1501 and be a part of the movement for world peace. Email us at chicagohwpl@gmail.com.
And we are back. I'm
All
Beata
right.
Latif, who is traveling on a train the leisurely way, seeing all the beautiful sights of the Estados Unidos, United States. Bless you, my sister, wherever you are on that train. Hope it doesn't break down. Hope you don't slow it down. I mean, train traveling is like something I don't know if I'd ever want to do because I've heard so many horror stories. But my grandchildren, I would want to take them on a train ride maybe eventually. But for me, just personally, put me on a plane so I can get there and hike the land and try and see the sights and all that. But train, I can't sit for long.
Well, I mean, I like trains. It's cool. I haven't been on many of them before, but I have done my share of train rides.
Yay.
Absolutely.
We
I've done
should
my
try
share.
all of that at some time in our life. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I want to focus on self-discipline real quick. Again, just knowing that you have the ability, and I'm just speaking to everyone that has the ear to hear my voice. You have the ability to uh, refocus yourself in time of any type of discomfort. Again, it's so much that's going on the outside of ourselves. It's easy to get into the hurricanes. And I'm gonna refer to it as the hurricane. Okay. So in the eye of the hurricane is nothing but peace. Nothing is moving. It is just total stillness. We have to stay in the eye of the hurricane, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. When we stay in the eye of the hurricane, what happens is that we can see much clearer. We'll be able to actually refocus ourselves when necessary. There's different lenses, perceptions that we use throughout life. And most people don't even realize that. You can talk to your mother, your sister, your brother, people at work, total strangers, but you always change your lens. It's like changing glasses. You don't speak to someone or say the same words with the same feelings as you would with someone that you know personally or close to. So it's a difference. And as we are shifting, our eyes are the ones that guide us. It's our sensories. So what am I saying to you? Whatever you are focusing on mentally, just know that that thing is going to guide your life. So if you focus on something negative mentally, it is going to change your life negatively. That's the only thing it can do. So I think negativity has its place. I believe there is a balance of negative and positive. It's not, again, not to be all positive and not acknowledge the bad or the negative side. And I think the goal, again, mentally, for anyone to remain neutral. Okay. I think we label things too much, Maya. We label good, we label bad, based on what we feel. And we feel something that doesn't feel good. Oh, that's a bad thing, you know, not realizing, no, it's not bad. Actually, it was created by you. You created it, you know, you created that feeling, you created that response. Now, if it's coming from an external situation, no, it's just what are you doing with it? Are you letting it get the best of you? Or are you saying to yourself, okay, I see this as a situation. How long shall I stay in this position of feeling discomfort? No, you have to go back and analyze it. If you don't analyze it, then the emotional regulator in your brain, which is in your subconscious thoughts, are going to keep you there. It's almost like I call it emotional hijacking. Emotional hijack, because we can get emotionally hijacked. We have this thing called a meta condition. Meta condition is when you make a decision, a choice to remove unwanted thoughts or even feelings after you felt them and after you thought them. Now, you don't want to remove them before. You want to know, okay, oh, this does not feel good. All right, so I'm going to deal with this, and then I'm going to release, and then I'm going to have to let it go. It's three parts to that thing. It's not just ignore or deny. No, you're not touching it. If you do that, you feel release and you let it go. So our self-discipline that we need to continue this thing called life is set with boundaries and limits. So the boundaries is the boundaries to the world. Okay? Boundaries to social media, boundaries to a person's problems. Like you have friends or family that has, different type of burdens and things that they're going through. Okay, you got to have a boundary for that. Say, okay, I hear you and I want to help you and assist you, but I can't be you in this situation because I can't help you if I'm all the way out there in your current of life. I can only help you at dry land. That's the way it works. It's very easy to get into an area of discomfort.
And when you mention labels that we put on things, good or bad, it just reminds me of our awareness of third, fourth, fifth dimensions.
Yes.
As I've shared and come to understand, the third dimension is physicality. Everything's good, bad, wrong, right, evil, this, that. But once you move into a higher dimension where there's no war, for instance,
Right.
then labeling something good or bad is unconscious because, like you said, what's the purpose of that event? It's not necessarily bad for everyone. Some people in this event are going to grow from this event. So when you're in the fourth dimension where there's no war, you're not going to say anything is good or bad because everything is meant for our growth. And we become more conscious, in my mind, about why things are happening to us. There's a lesson. I know you agree. There's a lesson in everything. So how are you going to label something bad if you can see the lesson? And that's where I think people lack the consciousness, is that they don't see the lesson in the car accidents. They don't see the lesson in even someone's death, that someone is going to grow. I'm going to grow from this if I can see what can I learn from this. This turbulent times that we're going through, in my mind, is teaching us we don't want to live like this for the rest of our lives. These turbulent times we want to end. So I'm going to work every day to end these turbulent times. And I'm going to be teaching my grandchildren how to adjust, psychology of adjustments. I'm going to be teaching them for every event. How do you adjust? Don't get upset. Don't get angry. Don't scream like they like to do. Children, my granddaughter loves to be dramatic. So I've been telling her, you're going to be a good actress one day because you love drama. So I'm teaching them in every situation not to become dramatic about it so much, but what can you learn about this? And that is the hardest thing for many people to do that I see, is self-discipline, like you're talking about. Mm-hmm. It's something we got to work on every day.
Yes.
Habits. It's a daily thing. So going into the new year, that's what you are talking about, is how can we develop these good habits, these good practices, the self-discipline, so that this next year is going to be awesome. Woohoo! Looking forward.
Absolutely. And again, everything is a process. Everything that we go through is a process. There's no quick fix. There's no, let me hurry up and get over it, because time rules everything. We don't rule. And I think that people don't realize that the time rules everything. I mean, a lot of times we say, okay, let me make this appointment and go to this appointment and whatever. Okay. And then something interrupts the appointment. Okay. I mean, then you get frustrated. Then you get frustrated because you can't do it. And because it ain't time yet. We have to trust time. Time can be our worstest enemy, but our greatest friend. So I'm like, and time lets you know what to do with your issues when time takes it, because it could be something that happened in 2000, but you're still thinking that it happened now. No, time says it's gone. So why are you still holding on to it when time took it? It guides us. I believe the Creator put time here to guide us. Because again, years and years ago, I'm sure in the biblical days or whatever, they didn't have time. They only could say, oh, it's 1/2 sunset. But they didn't have a clock. They didn't have anything to guide us. They were guided by the earth. You know what I'm saying? So we should do the same. I think that's, when you plan something and it doesn't always work out as planned, just know you have time. Even though it looks like it might be really at the 9th hour, time will come in there and correct something. There it goes. Oh, that's right. And you ever heard that saying, oh, it's right on time? Because time is right on time. That's what time is. It's right on time. So we have to trust our instinct.
You said something interesting about we were guided by the earth. I think we were guided by earth and the moon and the stars and the sun.
Yes.
We didn't have these calendars that people are stuck on. Our ancestors were looking at the moon. Mm-hmm. Every month, the moon gave them a calendar. The waning and waxing happened over a 30-day, 28-day period. So our ancestors weren't looking at something down here. They were like, where the stars are today. Look where the stars, this and that. So another thing I said, you should stop crying. But here's the thing. I know you probably had people break down in tears, or maybe not. Why are you crying and why aren't you crying might be a better question, is because so many men, young boys grow up, don't cry, be a big boy. But I'm thinking if they are crying at 40 years old, 50 years old, our response might better be, well, what's the matter here? Why are you crying? Not stop crying,
Yeah.
But why are you crying? Because that's probably something they needed to do. They probably
Right.
haven't done it. My ex-husband only cried twice in a 30-some year period being married to him. He
Wow.
cried
Yeah.
at his mother's funeral, and he cried when my first son was born. Only times I've seen tears coming out. Now he's congested, overweight, and on
Yeah.
5 or 6 medical drugs. So that taught me a very important. Let's cry. You need to cry. Let's get the tears. My grandchildren cry. I'm like, oh, okay. Keep it going. Keep it going. Let's get these tears flowing, and then let's talk about it. Because
Right.
that's
Right.
where you are when they come in your office. Oh, Dr. Debbie. Oh, guess what happened to me? And you're like, okay, let's talk about it.
Yes. Yes. And I always let them know it's the welding of the heart. See, the heart is the one that holds this emotional issues of your life. And so it needs to be released. You know what I'm saying? It has to be because a lot of people don't want to let anyone see what they call they think it's, some people think it's weak, some people think it's vulnerable to cry, but no, it's necessary because, all of that pressure, that we feel, thank God for tears, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And we
Yes.
usually after a good cry, you feel better anyway.
Yep. Yep. There's
You get
actually a chemical
release
in the tears that helps releases stress in the
toxins.
body. Yeah, there's a
That's
reason for
it is.
everything.
It is. So I say, and I used to actually tell some of my clients, I'm like, okay, it's all right to leak. Okay. She said, I'm leaking again. I said, yeah, it's okay. I said, don't worry. The leaking will stop when it's time. And
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
We have emotionally released, that is when those tears then start flowing. Otherwise, they're just gonna keep flowing. And sometimes, again, if it's a mental condition, some people become too mournful, and they have to have medication to even adjust that because they become too mournful. So it depends on the situation and the circumstance. As we
And
go
I've
on.
heard of people who cried for every day for a month. It was something, I don't know if it was a death that occurred in their family. Something occurred in their life, and they said, I cried every day for 30 days, and then they were done. How
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
And you're walking to work crying, or crying on your lunch break, and people should just honor that, I think. Unless you, I mean, as long as you're not suicidal and
Right.
you're processing something, why not let them cry? Adults cry because kids do it all. And in a way, isn't it just Debbie, Dr. Debbie, an immature, emotional person, adult? They haven't processed the grief or whatever it is they're going through. It seems like they're just like a child, right?
Right, right. And I mean, I've had, patients that say, I wish I could cry. I have been in this place so long. I think a good cry would help me because they become emotionally rigid, and that is an issue as well. So, like, it's nothing wrong with tears, whether you're man, woman, or child. Nothing is wrong with tears because when you can be emotionally available, then that's when things start to change in your life. But again, uh, most people, I don't know, that I think society links crying with either pain, and then you can cry when you're happy too. You know what I'm saying? So tears is just, again, it's just one of those things when you become extremely emotional and they just need to flow out. So I think that's a great thing. There's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
I lived with a woman in an ashram for a year and a half during COVID, and her cat got very sick during that time. And this is a cat that had been with her, Dr. Debbie, for like 15 years or more. I
Oh,
forget how.
wow.
So she took that cat back and forth to the vet for about 3 weeks, spending money trying to get the cat well. And it was finally decided this cat's not going to get well. So she decided to have a ceremony, bring a veterinarian in to put the cat to sleep. She had flowers, and we did the
Oh,
ceremony, and she held the cat in like a little papoose, and we played music, and we both cried. I didn't even know the cat, but for about maybe 4 years that I had known her, I've known her cat in the house. But we both were crying. because
Wow.
I think it was just me watching her cry for one. She was so emotional about the whole thing. And just
Yes.
watching her and just feeling her sadness.
Yeah.
So I feel like when we are close to people who are mourning, we should feel their sadness and help them and help us get through the mourning. And some,
Yes.
like my sister, mourned for 2 years about the death of her daughter. She developed breast cancer and then she passed on. I learned so much in that. That was one of those situations, Dr. Debbie, where I couldn't even grieve for a long time. I couldn't mourn or cry because I was learning lessons for the whole time.
Wow.
She was
Oh
so
my
close
goodness.
in my house for 9 months, and I was just observing her mourning behavior, MOUR, until she passed away. And then I was like, wow, I wrote a book. That was my first book. My body is talking to me because of all the lessons from that journey with her and so many
Oh
other
my
things.
goodness.
But how
Wow.
many lessons can we learn when we are really empathizing with other people's mourning and helping them
Mm.
come out of it?
Yes, absolutely. It is a very sensitive thing to cry with another human being when they are hurting, and someone needs a shoulder to lean on. So when you made yourself available for that, that was definitely a gift to that person. And you learn so much, about yourself even when you're doing that. And
That's
I think
right.
that's extremely important for us to be emotionally available for ourselves. A lot of people are not emotionally available for other people as much for ourselves. And that is a practice that one should have, because think about it. If you don't know that you are in emotional need, that means you will neglect yourself. You would neglect yourself, and you would then get in a place where when you start deteriorating because of emotional damage, you won't know. You won't have any idea. So we should do this. This is extremely important, to be emotionally available for ourselves, especially, and also for others, because it's easy for us to give other people our heart. you know it's easy. It's, and take all of me, and leave nothing for myself. But nah, that's the imbalanced way of thinking.
That sounds
We
like
need ourselves.
yeah, that's a song. Take all of me, leave nothing for myself. Nope. Nope, that's not the song.
Nah, that's not a healthy song either. Nah, because I gotta have at least 50%. I tell people, y'all got 100%, 100% of yourself. That's it. You can't create no more. They try to create more, but you can't. Out of 50, you got to keep 50 in the reservoir. 50% belongs to you. That belongs to you. You cannot give that up. You can give that other 50. You can divvy it out however you want to, but you got to keep 50 for yourself. And I think that's extremely important, that we understand the value of our own lives, so that we won't put ourselves at a discomfort, or excessive pain. Excessive pain is so easy. I think I remember one of my patients years ago told me, and he was in his 80s, and he said, it's not dying that bothers me. He said, dying inside and still living, that bothers me.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
from that day on, I looked at pain a whole nother different way.
Wow. 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 And what are some of the signs, Dr. Debbie, short term and long term, when people are being self destructive? I keep seeing that avoidance of self destruction. And I'm thinking about, some short term behavior that people do and perform versus long term behavior that ends up self destructive, but it may not appear in the short term. And then there are things that happen right away, and you're like, oh my goodness, you're being self. But then there are things that, what, maybe you could go over some of the short term signs of self destruction that people can check right away versus long term things that they're doing long term that can be self destructive as well.
Yeah. Well, self destruction is First of all, if you can break it down in these three understandings. Self-defeat. Self-defeat is always saying what you can't do. I can't do this. I can't have that.
Mm,
I'm always this, I'm always that. But you're thinking more of the negative connotations. Like,
right,
I'll never be happy. I'll always be a failure. And you
right,
constantly tell yourself that I'm
right.
too fat. I'm ugly, constantly beating up the self. That's self defeat. And then you have self sabotage. Self sabotage is like when you can do better, you don't. Period. You avoid doing better. You constantly still doing things, actions, behaviors, habits to continue the same pattern of leading down to self destruction. When someone's trying to reach out to you to help you, you push them away. You don't want to talk. You don't want to do this. You're constantly just like a kite in the wind without an anchor. You're just hitting, all types of things. You're running into things mentally, emotionally. You're colliding, literally, in it all, and you don't know the damage that you're doing. So that's a pattern. So if anyone out there that sees this pattern in yourself or in either someone else, know that you're headed for self-destruction if you keep doing that. Because again, the self-destructive mechanism is on a time frame. It's time sensitive. We can only do that but so long until we start to deteriorate. So it's like you said, the long term is when some person's been doing it for a long time, and they don't often tell people. They
Mm,
don't. Most people keep it. They suppress it. They're not going to go tell somebody, "Hey, I think I'm a failure." No, they're not going to say that. They suppress that thought, and that's what they think. So what happens is, if they fail at anything, a test, or didn't get a raise, or whatever the case may be, they may be failure. They think they're failure to their children because their children didn't turn out the way they planned. So they blame themselves. Self blame and self unforgiveness causes self failure. So now you're beating yourself up. You know. Then you feel the guilt of life. So it's like a ongoing until you get to a point where, okay, you may be in this relationship. So we can go to this thing called murdercide, because I wanted to talk about that. And I know we got to take another break too. So when we get back, I want to talk about murdercide in avoiding the self-destruction part of this.
all right. And I just got a text from our executive producer, Naima Latif is in Jacksonville, Florida, where it's going
Yeah.
to get warmer and warmer. So all of you up north, you better join her if you want to get warmed up because we're back in spring now. We're out of that winter stuff. That lasted for a few days, and now
I
we are,
know. I love Florida. I think
yeah,
it's so
we're
beautiful
in
out there.
we are in the springtime now. It was 70 yesterday, and I think by the weekend we're gonna be in the 80s. So New Year's, I'm gonna be on the beach on New Year's morning. It's gonna be 80 degrees on the beach. So hallelujah. All right, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, more exciting news information for you listeners to overcome all that negative behavior.
Are you constantly arguing with your spouse? Are your children misbehaving and acting out? Is someone in your family abusing drugs? Have you been a victim of domestic violence? Are you grieving over the loss of a loved one? Let us help you restore serenity to your life. At Serenity Family Social Services, we understand that good mental health is the result of emotional well-being. Our goal is to assist you and your family in removing emotional distress and restoring harmony and balance to your lives. We offer individual, couples, and family counseling. I'm Howard Williams, CEO of Serenity Family Social Services. Call us today at 312-315-4820. That's 312-315-4820. Everything you need what your body needs, is found in nature. So Susan Essentials doesn't do it any other way. Susan Essentials provides your employees and individuals access to over 20,000 nutritional products, and they are shipped direct to your door. Because Susan Essentials is certified in plant-based healing, we're permitted to offer you the best nutritional supplements on the planet. They're non-GMO and sustainably produced, and we take the guesswork out for you. Let Susan Essentials help you take control of your health today.
Oh man, God sent the monthly sun bill today. This sunlight is really expensive, especially during this season. I'll probably have to work overtime to pay it.
Well, you better pay it on time. We don't want the sun to go out and we're sitting up here all day in the dark.
Wouldn't it be terrible if God charged us for sunlight? Well, thank God, the light and heat from the sun is free. So why are we paying such high bills for the energy we use in our homes? Because we don't know how to use solar energy, the free energy from the sun. You can convert your regular home to a solar energy home and save tremendously on your electric bill. Take a look at your electric bill. Wouldn't you like to reduce or possibly even eliminate that cost altogether? Let one of our solar consultants show you how. Call today, 312-849-3456, and schedule a free consultation. That's 312-849-3456.
Are you constantly arguing with your spouse? Are your children misbehaving and acting out? Is someone in your family abusing drugs? Have you been a victim of domestic violence? Are you grieving over the loss of a loved one? Let us help you restore serenity to your life. At Serenity Family Social Services, we understand that good mental health is the result of emotional well-being. Our goal is to assist you and your family in removing emotional distress and restoring harmony and balance to your lives. We offer individual, couples, and family counseling. I'm Howard Williams, CEO of Serenity Family Social Services. Call us today at 312-315-4820. That's 312-315-4820.
I gotta make me a new jingle for the new year.
Yeah, me too. I like that though. It's really bad. Well, we're
I
back.
made that.
If you have a question or comment, please press 1 in the studio. And of course, write your comments for Dr. Debbie to see in Facebook. And we're talking about a very, very important topic, especially as we go into this new year. Because 2023, I keep telling everybody it's going to be a 7. So you want to be ready for good. It's going to be a lot of great opportunities for you to improve your life. And Dr. Debbie is here to help us get started with that. So you were talking about murdercide, which something we want to avoid, but we want to be aware of it and just move those I ams to the positive element. So Dr. Debbie, tell us about that.
Well, one thing about murdercide is actually a title, a name I give where suicide and murder meets. So you have self-destruction and homicide together. You hear about it all the time. A man or woman or whatever would take a gun or whatever device of self-destruction and, kill their family and then turn it on themselves. So this is when I call it the festering of issues that's been ongoing for a period of time. So we look at the components of that, what would make or what would even influence a person to get to that level where they literally would take their own children's and their loved ones' lives to the then turn around and then self-destruct. So whatever was in that human being, the one that's holding the gun, okay, or whatever, something was there previously for years and years of self-destruction, ongoing patterns of self-destruct. It could be addiction, it could be mental illness, undealt with, anger issues, stress. I mean, the list goes on, but it's all a combination of explosion. That's what it is. So then it gets to the pressure becomes, it's like a pressure cooker. If you imagine a pressure cooker, it's all right when the fire is down low, but when
Right.
you turn up the heat, it's gonna blow like
Yikes.
nobody's business. And
That's
that's the way
right.
it is, and that's what they become, pressure cookers. But another word I use in a title to describe it is walking, breathing landmines, because that's what a landmine does. When you put pressure to the least pressure on it, even though it's been there all along, here comes that last bit of pressure, then it explodes. It explodes and it takes everything with it. It doesn't matter what it is. So how do we prevent that? How do we know? What's the signs of if a person would get to that level? Communication. Communication. A lot of people don't believe people when they start threatening them. Okay. Threatening them or trying to first overly control, narcissistic ways. I want to control you. The way you dress, who you talk to, where you go, how you get there, everything. Narcissists don't trust people. Okay, they don't trust their loved ones. They just don't trust people because the narcissist is really prideful. It's all about what they want, how they want it, and if they never, a narcissist comes from a family where they did not get correction far as love. They didn't get the proper nurturing. So they begin to get angry inside. And that anger turns into different things because the emotions just don't stay in one state. They transition into other states like irritation, agitation, frustration. Now you're angry if it's a continuing thing. Anger just doesn't remain anger, it turns into other things. It goes into rage, discord, hate, unforgiveness. So it always transitions because our being is a multifaceted being. Everything that's put in it never stays the same. It only expands. And whatever you're focusing on, it's just going to expand. So that being the case, who this person that chose to take life, because that's what they are life takers, because they don't believe in their mind, they don't have life. They don't honor life. They don't value life because they have festered over a period of time and you never know when it's going to happen. And guess what? Somebody's told you communication. You keep doing what you're doing. You're going to regret it one day. You hear these little small smidgens of thoughts or words, and you realize you're like, okay, oh, I ain't worrying about you. Okay, somebody's just coming in. You find them sitting in the house in the dark. What you sitting in the dark for? Are they constantly ringing your phone, calling you, in the middle of the night, constantly over and over, not just in the middle of the night, all day, stalking you, okay? Stalking you, wanting to know who you're talking to, separating you from your family. Okay, these are people really going through this. So what do? They just allow it. And if you're smart, you will get away early. When you start seeing it early, a person, you get into a relationship and this person starts to control you early. And if you are naive or passive, you are prey to this until you realize that, wait a minute, no, you can't control me. And they don't like hearing that because they want to control you. They don't want you to tell them that you can't control them. No, they don't want to hear that. They will all, and they'll do everything they can to get back in with you. Bring you flowers, candies, give you a gift, give you big ticket items. But guess what? That's only a lure. Because guess they go right back doing the same things before, grabbing on you. Sometimes they do physically, they touch you physically. Oh, I didn't mean to hit you. Oh, no, ma'am. No, yes, you did. You meant to hit me. You meant to touch me. You meant to grab me. You meant to call me out my name. You meant to. Yes, you did, because you keep doing it. Don't believe the hype. Get out of a broken relationship, especially if you have children. It's dangerous. It is dangerous. And some people even try to leave. They go and they get these, they go to the authorities and get protection, and it's too late. Even the protection can't help them because they've been in a relationship too long. Now, when you set that boundary between you and that person thinks, oh, I can't do nothing but kill you now because you're not going to get away. And so end up hurting that person. They end up taking that person's lives. And they don't just take one life, they want to take all the lives. And then it's not just with heterosexual relationships, it's with any type of relationship. I've seen children, and everybody, this is on the news. You'll see a son goes and kills both of his parents. What's going on with that? And then kills himself. So self-destruction is real. It is very, very real. It is happening in our world, people. That is the reason why I come on here and I let you know before you even start to feel all of that deep down this in yourself, remove yourself from this type of mindset. Free yourself. Self-freedom is real, but it takes self-rescue to get self-freedom.
And I realized I was on the narcissistic scale or spectrum in my early years because what you mentioned, I didn't get enough nurturing from my mother. My mother was an alcoholic from the time I was born, I believe, because that's my memory and things that were happening. And then my parents divorced when I was like 8 or 9 years old. So the lack of nurturing, like you said, that children don't get is what starts that narcissistic spectrum to expand. I looked at narcissism and I realized there's a spectrum of sometimes, I was very controlling in my marriage with my children, and they were so resistant of it that's what woke me up, basically, is because they weren't taking my BS of control.
Oh.
And that's where it starts, right? Is that if people are definitely submitting to your need to control them to the limit, and then you just get more power. In fact, my dad and his wife, their relationship was very narcissism on the wife's part, enabler on his part. I look at it, even his son admitted that he was a big time enabler of her narcissistic extremism. So my family didn't enable me at all. They were like, we ain't taking that. That's not me. I'm not. So I was learning early to let go of my need to control everything. And like you said, it started with me taking back my sanity, basically. No, you're not going to control everybody and everything. You need to make adjustments in your life. So, my situation I'm grateful for because it caused me to back up and stop trying to control everything. And then every now and then that need to control creeps in, right? That I'm protecting my boundaries, going back to not getting the nurturing that I was looking for from a mother who was so into her addiction of alcohol, that I suffered from that, but I overcame eventually, starting to work on myself, like you're saying here. Started working on me and thought, blame me. Why can't you do what I tell you? We have a tendency to blame others, right? when things aren't going our way, when we can't control, we're going to blame everybody. Why are
Yes.
you behaving? You're disobedient, blah, blah, blah. But really, it came down for me of turning that finger to me and saying, well, what is wrong? Why do you need to control everything? And it really kept turning me back to my mother. It really kept pointing back to my mother, how
Mm-hmm.
that relationship was not healthy, it wasn't whole. And to this day, I'm grateful for my mother's behavior and what it taught me. Because if she
Yes.
hadn't been addicted to her alcohol, I wouldn't know what that looks like. I wouldn't know what that energy felt like. So that now I recognize it and I can get rid of it quicker. So that's where we go
Mm.
back to, there's nothing bad, good, wrong, right, if you can see the lesson in it. And I started to see, to heal me, I started to see the lesson in no having an alcoholic parent and how I needed to heal myself of all that resentment, sadness, anger, because she only knew what to do in her moment in her life. And I am grateful for my mother's alcoholism because that's what it is. It wasn't like I could
Right.
change it. I had to change it. How many times we pour the beer down the sink, the alcohol, then hide the bottles? I did that all my young life, hiding bottles, throwing away alcohol. It didn't matter. She would go to the store and get more.
Yep.
So lessons learned. That's where
It
we are. Learning
is.
lessons.
Yep. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to learn lessons. I'm gonna make a quick comment here. Grand Rising Queen, beautiful Queen, so appreciative is sharing this crucial information. Most people are narcissistic and aren't aware of it, which is very, very true. And that's why it's crucial to nurture ourselves in nature, trees, dirt, beach,
Yes.
sand, parks, nature, and nurtures. Absolutely. That's right. That is so true. That is so true because it's a necessity. Is
Yeah.
a necessity. We also have
And we've got
another.
a caller.
Look here. Okay. Well,
We've
we better go ahead and take us. I think we got 10 minutes.
Okay, we got a caller in the studio has pressed one. So let me open up the mic. 773-450. Your mic is open.
Good morning.
Speak up. We can't
Grand
hear you.
Rising. Grand Rising and hallelujah greetings to everybody. How you doing?
What is that beeping sound?
Hello.
Wait, hold on just a second.
Okay. Hello. He's got to stop the beeping sound. Hello, are you there?
Okay, I'm here.
Go ahead. Speak up,
Grand
please.
Rising and good morning to everybody. Grand Rising and good morning to everyone.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Your mic is.
Yes.
Go ahead. Your
It's
mic
a great
is.
show. It's been a great show. You know, what's interesting to me is how the one thing we never realize is that if we join with each other, just two people, they help each other. It's the combine of the two. It's like you said, your mother was on alcohol and you had a high ball and all that, but that was a peephole for you to help her and for her to find her way. Today, you've learned lessons from that are unspeakable. So whenever we interact with each other, it's to overlook each other's faults or the problems, and the key should be to look for what we can do to help each other, so that other person feels in some of your gaps and you feel in some of them. If we did more collective healing and just heal each other, then we would really be way over the top. But as long as we sit there and say, you got problems and I don't, that doesn't work. It seems like we got to be considerate and listen to each other and understand and validate and energize from that. So what I'm learning from the program more is, even though people have problems and situations, we can assist them by listening and paying attention and trying to just put ourselves in this situation instead of being the one that wants to criticize so much. Say, oh, well, you're an alcoholic, you're a drug addict. Why name call people when you can do something better? Look for the good in them and try to accentuate that. That would help them to be better. Once they can see other parts within themselves that are worthwhile, maybe they can let go of something else.
So I just saying we all need each other. It's always we us and instead of me, mine, I. Sure appreciate the show. Keep doing what you do.
All
You're
right.
welcome.
Thank you, Dr.
You
Debbie. And after that,
I'm
you
sorry.
hear
Well,
him?
thank you.
Could you hear him okay?
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm not sure. I recognize the
Obadiah.
voice.
That was Obadiah of
Oh,
Chicago.
okay, absolutely. You're absolutely correct. We were talking about labels earlier, not to label, certain things, and just let things be, and then apply ourselves at that. And of course, staying together and doing things together as a unit, not being divided, is absolutely the answer, sir. I think if we did that, we would not have the world's issues that we have today with family broken systems. So thank you so much for your words of encouragement and also wisdom.
And
Absolutely.
I think there's a disease out there, Dr. Debbie, called judgment. And
Yeah.
a lot of people, I am really working on that. I've been working on that in my own life, not judging people and putting them in this, that person's crazy idea. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, are in judgment too often instead of, as he was saying, learning to work, learning to listen, ask questions, and just observe without the judgment. And there's a thin line, I think, between judgment and discernment, and saying
Right.
that that person's crazy or that person has a problem. It's like knowing that someone has autism, for instance, and their behavior demonstrates that autistic spectrum, and not saying, well, that person's just crazy. No, autistic energy is very, very unique. It's very special, and it doesn't need to be judged. It just needs to be understood. What would you say, Dr.
Oh,
Debbie?
absolutely. It is because, well, autism has been around, oh my goodness, for the last 30, 40 years. And of course, they linked it to the immunization that the children received, dealing with that area. But
Yeah,
if you any autism child, adult, or whatever, if you look at them mentally, you'll notice that they're extremely talented. They're different, but their gifts supersede their ability to be accepted in the world. You see what I'm
right,
saying? We labeled them. We as
right.
a society labeled them. But you have autism spectrum where some of them are mute, but they can draw. Their artistic ability is far beyond. And anytime they ever do an IQ check, or if they've ever had a test for IQ, they're extremely high on the spectrum. So what
Yeah,
does that tell you? That something is wrong with society, not wrong with them.
yeah.
They're in their own worlds.
And brother Eddie Harris, who's on my comes on my Sunday show a lot, he said they're here. Autistic individuals are here to save us
I
because
believe it.
their perspective on life is much more spiritual, in my opinion, than ours in many instances. So we got to listen to them. So I can't believe how fast the time went. Thank you for Dr. Debbie for this opportunity to be with you this
Absolutely. And come and see me again.
Yes,
I would love to have you.
I appreciate this time to grow with you. I feel like anytime I spend with my soul female solution sisters, I grow because our journeys are so different and
Yeah.
so special that we can grow from one another. So thank you so much. And Naima, wherever you are, be safe and enjoy the heat of Florida. She's escaped from Chicago. She's
I
gonna
know. Wow.
get out in the
I'm
sun and the
telling you.
heat and join me tomorrow. I'm going to be going over all the important lessons we learned in 2022 regarding
Mm,
our health and well being. So, see you tomorrow morning on Health and
absolutely.
Well-being. And everybody go out there and have a good day and make somebody smile, even at the grocery store. That is
Yes.
always my mission, to make that cashier smile, and even the bagger. I'm determined to make the bagger and the cashier smile. And I usually, it doesn't take much. You know what you have to do is say, wow, thank you. You did a great job. You did such a great job bagging my groceries. Thank you.
That's right. That's right. Give some love. Give some love.
Give some
Remember, you're
love.
giving love.
Ah, love you, Dr. Debbie.
Love you. Thank you so much.
Have a safe New Year's Eve and stay warm, of course.
That's all. I'm coming to Florida real soon.
Woohoo! All right, you're always welcome. Look me up when you get here.
Definitely.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for showing up this morning. Thank us. United spirits, united souls, we come together. Hallelujah.
Listen to our radio show. Order our books and be sure to get your copy of